All right, it's Mr. Bool again, and we're here with another Rig Rundown episode. I'm here with
Blake.
And Blake, what's sitting behind us, mate?
It's a HSV VX Clubsport.
And what year is that one, mate?
2001, Series 1.
Very nice, very nice. All right, and Blake, when did you pick up the clubby, not the commie? We'll just get that clear. When did you pick up the Clubsport?
No Commodores here, buddy. So I got it in July 2019, so it was just before COVID prices, thank God.
Yeah, you got a lucky price there too. How much did you get it for?
11.
It's not too bad, I don't think. Like,
Yeah.
especially nowadays with the market, I think you got a good price there on that one.
Yeah, it was quite funny at the time. I was only looking for an SS or a Calais, because my budget was around 10. But this came up, and it had to have a manual and ideally sunroof, and this had both, and it was the same price as what the SSs were going for at the time. So he had it up for 13, and I got him down to 11. And like looking back at that now, that's crazy. You know, you'd never get that these days.
Yeah, because you'd be able to sell that now for, market's probably like fucking stupid crack money.
At the moment, I think for a pretty stock one, they go for 30. So, you know, it's not stock.
Yeah, it's far from stock. We'll get to that in a minute. So with the car, why did you buy it? Was there some sort of reason? You know, did you have a family member that owned something like this and you wanted one, or did you just get it just because it's the clubby, mate?
Well, 10 years ago, my old man actually had a VY R8 Clubsport, and it was funny at the time. Like, you know, I knew it was a cool car, but I didn't really understand the significance of it. You know, like I used to get taken to school in that car, and every day I'd sit on the leather seats, and now looking back, it's like, that's a $3,000 set of seats that I was sitting on, but I didn't understand that. So yeah, I don't know, it's cool. The way it resembles my upbringing. You know, it was a big thing during my childhood, getting taken to school in a VY R8. It was pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, I think that's something good to flex. Like, yeah, you know, you're bought up in Holden, you buy a Holden, you pass it down. Yeah. Same with me. I hate Holdens. I'm a Ford man, but that's okay. So when you got the car a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was, what was done to the car, and what have you done since?
First bought the car, it had it was like a Bobby Jane set of 5-spoke wheels. They sort of look like Simmons knockoffs. And
Reps, mate, reps. It's always about reps and Rig Rundown. I was waiting for it, and it's there.
Yeah, the Bobby Jane specials that came on wasn't a bad set, but yeah, I got rid of them. And then other than that, just had a 3-inch catback X-Force exhaust. But yeah, other than that, though,
Very typical, the X-Force on a clubby.
it's the go-to. Holden owners don't know any different. But yeah, other than the wheels and the exhaust, the car was bone stock.
You've definitely done quite a bit, interior, exterior, and in the engine bay wise. So tell me about the interior. You got something different going on there. Tell me what you got. You got some grandma's decor going in there. so what's going on the inside?
I'm going for a bit of a VIP style. So it's all black and gold. Gold's my accents. You know, big pimpin', baby. So I got a VIP table on the passenger seat. It's got Louis Vuitton. It's like stickers and then epoxy over it. I got black curtains on all 4 windows. I got gold Venetians in the back window. It's factory, but I got a full set of red stitched HSV seats.
Very clean seats too. Like, they aren't, you know, ripped. They aren't damaged or anything. They're pretty good looking seats.
Yeah, I was quite surprised with the seats actually when I first bought the car, because you know your target demographic is middle-aged big dudes that buy these sorts of cars. So usually the driver's side seats shithouse, but yeah, no, the seats are actually in really good condition, to be honest.
What else is going on the outside?
So obviously I got the wheels. They're the big standout point for the car. They're Vattini Hellfires, so don't laugh at my specs, but anyways, they're 20 by 8.5 plus 42 on the front, 20 by 10 plus 42 on the rear. Yeah, I can't really go much wider without going bacon fenders, which, you know, being the car that it is, I don't really want to do. You know.
And you got some lowering springs in there too. Oh, not lowering springs, sorry, coilovers.
Yeah.
What coilovers have you got?
So they're BC Golds.
Yeah, doesn't ride too bad either. It's not too stiff. It's not too soft. It's a nice like middle ground when you cruise on the highway and going through back streets as well.
The half the reason why I got coilovers is because I got defected, and the only way to do that was I didn't want to have to keep going back and forth through suspension, so I did that for the front. And then for the rear, I was having clearance issues because the wheels are relatively big, and so I just wanted to stiffen that completely. So my rebounds maxed out on the rear, and the fronts are pretty close to it as well. But considering I was expecting the car to drive a lot harder than it does, you know, I've never owned coilovers before this car, but yeah, no, they're surprisingly comfy.
Moving to the engine bay now, where you've got something different in there, I would say, from your typical clubby. It might be a little bit fraud upon. I've had some mates that aren't too fond of it, but so tell us what's going on in there.
Factory, it's an LS1 5.7 litre. I think it was August 2021. I got 2 hairline cracks down, cylinder 1 bore, and a chunk of cylinder 1 piston went through the engine. Me and a mate dropped the oil and it had milkshake, so we thought it was just a head gasket. Took it to a shop, an engine builder, and just said, hey, look, man, you know, I'm pretty sure it's just a head gasket. Pull that apart, and while you've got the engine apart, I'll probably do like a cam and, you know, that sort of, you know, basic stuff while I've got it apart. I was at work and I got a phone call, and he goes, when you've got a chance, call me back. It's catastrophic.
That's when you know it's not good at all, eh? So, and then when you were there, you obviously found out the bad news, but you did get some good news out of that. So what did he give you, and what was the story of the engine, what it was meant to be and what it is now?
Yeah, so obviously with what happened, it was engine out, you know, there's no fixing that. So Travis at A1 Performance at Burleigh, he's got a VX SS. He had an engine that was built to go in his car, but he wanted to go bigger and better again. So he said to me, I'm about to sell this engine, you need an engine, so we could probably work something out here. So I ended up buying it off him, pre-assembled. So it's an LY6, which is a 6-litre iron block.
Which is out of...
So from my understanding, they come in like a Chevy Tahoe and a Silverado. So they're a truck block, so they're designed to take a bit of abuse.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people go with when they want to run boosted applications. So the engine was originally built to run twin 60mm turbos and NOS. So everything in it is rated for 1500 horsepower. And but that wasn't quite in my budget at the time. I was sort of scraping just to get the engine swap done, let alone the turbos on it. It was 470 hub, which is 440 wheel horsepower. So it still goes pretty good, but yeah, there's a lot left in it.
So obviously it's rated for 1500. You can go twin turbo. You can go, you know, just even NOS injection, NA with NOS. Or you can go to the supercharger route. Are you thinking of doing anything like that in the future with it?
I would like to. Again, budget pending. I have a lot more stuff I want to do to the car before performance, which is funny because I've got the engine in there, but the only reason I did the swap is because the other one blew up. Like, I wanted to paint the car before I even touch the engine. So yeah, I've got things that I want to do before I go forced induction. So at some point maybe, but yeah, not anytime soon.
Yeah, it's understandable. It'll be a big money job. Yeah. Do you know what is done to the LY6? You know, works wise, like cams and whatnot like that?
Yeah, so obviously the LY6 block, it's got an LSA crank, LS3 heads with dual row springs. It's got a Mellings high volume oil pump. It's got the Brian Tully Racing Stage 3 Turbo Killer Cam, which is a 231 243. Got Comp Cali pistons and rods, LS7 lifters, heavy duty push rods.
This goes on, mate. Yeah, you got just about everything done to the motor.
Oh yeah, there's a whole write up on it. But WSM did the tune. After I get my tax back, actually, I'm probably going to book it back in. It's a bigger fuel pump because I got the injectors, but yeah, I ran out of fuel on the dyno, so 470 at the hubs, and they said that it'll quite easily go 500 hub with a new pump, which will be like 460 wheel, I think, something like that.
That is horsepower, not kilowatt.
Yes, all horsepower. It makes the numbers sound bigger.
Yeah. That's the one thing about the southeast down here compared to Townsville. Everyone's talking horsepower down here. It's a bit odd.
Yeah.
So obviously you got the car built, interior, exterior wise is very eye-catching, and the motor as well is a bit of a head turner when you got the hood pops. So with the way it's built, what is your goal with the car at the end of the day, whether it's now or just in the future, when it comes to doing other things to the engine?
The reason why I bought the Clubsport and not the R8 is because they are a collector's car, but I would feel bad doing what I've done to this to an R8. So I purposely got just the Clubsport so that I could wreck it a little bit. You know, a lot of old dudes and a lot of purists wouldn't go this route, and which is a big reason why I've done it, because not a lot of people have done the sort of styling that I've gone with for this type of car, which I think is cool too, because I always tell people, you know, come up with your own ideas. You know, I'm sick of seeing copy and paste cars. You know, everyone does the same thing with these, you know, just Holdens in general.
It is hard, when you've got, especially nowadays with the you know, the rise of TikTok in the car community. You got a lot of people throwing hate, throwing shade, but you've also got a lot of people, you know, copying your style, and that comes with a lot of things just other than cars. But when you got something that does stand out like this, and it is kind of one of a kind, you know, you don't see these every day.
Yeah.
You do see a lot of, like you said, copy and paste, which is, it's kind of a bit, like, hurts you a bit, because you put so much work into it, and then you drive around the corner and go to a car meet and there's one that looks exactly like yours.
Yeah, well, I'm yet to see that, and I don't gatekeep anything. Like, I'll tell you exactly what I've done from top to bottom, as I have with this. If I was going to, then I wouldn't be doing one of these interviews. Like, you know, any Joe Blow that messages me, I'll tell you where I got my shit from. I'll tell you.
It is controversial. I think a lot of people do have strong opinions on the car, but that's like everyone, like I said, nowadays, especially with social media and TikTok, being a big, massive part of the car community, you get a lot of people saying things that, yeah, they wouldn't have said 10, 15 years ago, and it's all keyboard warriors, but that's okay. All right, so I think we've run over everything. You got a beautiful Commodore.
I've got one last question. That's what is... Oh, shit.
What?
Yeah.
Anyways.
I had to get Blake to come back after I said Commodore.
You're going to take my car seriously?
But in my opinion, like I said, I'm not really a massive Holden man. I do love Holdens, but will lean more towards the Fords myself. But it is a really nice car. And I do like the way it's styled, designed, and it fucking sounds amazing too. So one last question is, what is your dream car and why?
Growing up, I think my very first dream car was a 57 Chevy Bel Air.
Sick. Yeah.
Probably a ragtop too. It's just, I don't know, the body lines on those things, it's such a cool car to look at, and every time I see one I have to stop and take a photo. Like, it's just such a nice car. And then I know it's pretty stereotypical, but an R34 GTR would be, you know, it's in everyone's at least top three.
I think that's the second answer we've had now for an R34. First for a Bel Air. It's definitely a first for an older muscle car too, which is good to see. You got some taste. But yeah, the R34, I've said it once and I'll say it again, it's like a fucking overplayed song on the radio, mate. They're a good car, they're a great looking car, but the 33 is where it's at. I don't think you can go past that.
Yep. Yeah, middle child. Yep.
Middle child. Yeah, that's me, mate. All right, I think we've run over everything. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for having a chat. And we'll see you next time.
No worries. Thanks, mate.